Charlestown trailing here 3-0 with 10:48 left in the first period. Whoops. Correction, folks. That's 2-0. We don't want to make it any tougher for the Chiefs than it already is. Okay, right off now.
Hello and welcome. Welcome and hello. This is Wait, You Haven't Seen? It's a show where we talk about movies, and specifically, we talk about a movie at least one of us has never seen before. I'm your host, Travis, a.k.a. TV's Travis. This is episode number 367. And our film this week from 1977 is Slapshot. And here to talk with me about it, because the NHL playoffs have started, and he wanted to make sure I had seen this movie. It's the imaginary nomad, Phil Keating. Phil, how the hell are you?
Hi, everyone. Hey, Travis. Thanks for having me back, even though I'm the one who forced your hand to have me back. I mean, behind the curtain, everyone, I scheduled this out in November.
Yeah, it was great. You sent me a message. You're like, hey, have you seen Slapshot? Or somehow you knew that I hadn't seen it. And you're like, well, all right, then I want to do Slapshot on this date. And it was like April. And I'm thinking, that's a ways out. And you reminded me, the Stanley Cup playoffs will begin that week. I was
yes.
like, oh.
And normally, my team, my hometown Philadelphia Flyers, are normally out of it by now. And it got a little crazy because we're in the playoffs, and there might have been a scheduling conflict. But luckily, we started on Saturday, and that's why we get to record today. And
yes.
So yeah, no, it's good. I'm doing good, Travis. How are you?
I'm doing all right. All right. What is your history with Slapshot? As somebody who plays hockey, who loves hockey, when did you first see this? You know, what's your history with this movie?
All right. So, yeah, I started playing hockey at the age of 5. I am now 39 years old. Took a small 20-year break, but we're back into it now. I saw this movie at the very impressionable age of 12, which, if you've ever seen this film, it's not really, even like a Philly 12, it's still not a movie a 12-year-old should ever be watching.
No.
But it was one of those hockey tournaments, right, where all the parents are either drinking or in their own hotel rooms, and the team was together, and we all sat down to watch this lovely 1977 romp of a hockey film, Slapshot.
It's fantastic.
I've been broken ever since, bud. Like,
yeah, no, it does that. I mean, we all have that movie that we saw at way too young of an age that informed a lot for us. For me, the movie that I always think of is Running Scared with Billy Crystal and Gregory Hines. I saw that same. It was like 9, I think, when I saw it.
Yeah.
And, and I go back and watch it, and I'm like, well, it's not the worst, but it's definitely, I was way too young to see that particular movie when I saw it.
Well, I was 6 when I saw Jaws.
Yeah.
And we lived up in Maine at the time, right next to the ocean, right? I know we're talking Slapshot, but like I remember we watched Jaws, and then the year after we were out in the middle of the ocean, and I got a bloody nose. And as a 7-year-old, I have accepted my own fate.
Right.
That, well, I'm 50 yards from the shore. There's nothing else I can do. We had a great run, bud, but that shark is right around you.
Right. So, Slapshot, 1977. I knew of this movie. I've heard of it. I've seen clips. I've seen lots of, especially still frames of Paul Newman. I knew of the movie, just never watched it. So, you started playing hockey at 5. I live also in a very hockey-heavy area. Never played hockey. I have had ice skates on less than 5 times in my entire life. It wasn't a thing. My dad didn't play hockey. Right. My dad played basketball, played baseball, and he played a little football in high school. So those were the sports I was around. I had a lot of friends that played hockey, but I just never got into it. But I like hockey, and I loved watching it. Like, I would go to the high school hockey games whenever I could. Hockey live, so different.
Hands
so
down.
Different. Like,
it's the best live sport you can watch.
Yeah, it is amazing. But it was just a sport I never got into because I do not have the grace to ice skate. So while I grew up with movies like The Mighty Ducks and there was another hockey movie. around that era. I feel
MVP. It was the most valuable primate.
Could have been, but it was definitely more the Mighty Ducks than anything else. Slapshot was just never like high on my list to watch. But as I've gotten older, and it's one of those that I've always wanted to, because hockey, to me, also like baseball, fits movies really well. There's a lot of good hockey movies, and there's a lot of good baseball movies. There's just something about that sport that translates well to film. I don't know what it is.
What it is that normally, both in baseball and in hockey, the athletes are characters, right? They're caricatures of humans, and the personalities and sometimes the egos are just so strong and prevalent that when you get a group of 25 athletes together that all have different crazy personalities, the wackiness ensues.
I think so. And I think also like baseball was such a romanticized sport for so long in just the cultural zeitgeist, like in the 40s and 50s and 60s and even before that it translated to film really well. And I think hockey has some of that same deal. Like there's personalities to the hockey players that you don't get from, say, professional football players. Like there are certainly personalities in the NFL, but the NFL for a long time really tried to make it about the team and not the individual players. Yeah. Whereas I feel like hockey had that. You had your Gordie Howes and your Wayne Gretzky's and these players that were, I don't know what it is, but they transcended the game. And then I think basketball, there's been plenty of basketball movies, but there's something about basketball that doesn't translate into film the same way that hockey does, which is odd because they're both like a very fluid motion, constant motion type of sport.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I mean, you're not wrong. You're not wrong at all.
Like I think maybe it's that hockey plays on a slightly bigger rink than a basketball court, and there's something to the framing of that you can do. And like,
do you think it's because it's a faster paced game and that it leads to higher action shots, especially low on the ice?
I think so, and I think that's a lot of it. And I think too, you can follow the action in a hockey situation differently than you would follow it for basketball. And then of course football is a lot of stand around and wait, 3 seconds of something happening and then stand around and wait for a little while, which baseball has as well, but there's something different about the way baseball's pacing is that can work cinematically. So I honestly feel like baseball and hockey make for the best movies. Like, and this, for me, watching it for the first time, so I'll just say right away, I had a good time with this movie. This was a lot of fun. I get it. I get why it's so beloved.
If you can get past the 1977 language,
we are definitely going to talk about that.
It is a good time if you can push past, this movie kind of aging like a fine milk.
Yeah. Yeah. What it reminded me of was a couple of different baseball movies, right? Because this isn't like any other hockey movie that I have seen. Now, I have not seen Goon with Sean William Scott.
Have you ever seen Mystery Alaska?
I've seen parts of Mystery Alaska.
Yeah.
So
did you ever see the show Shoresy?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I've seen some of that.
Right.
But Slapshot reminded me of two particular baseball movies. One was Bull Durham.
Yeah, I see that.
It feels very Bull Durham, especially down to looking at the cast and realizing that like a lot of these guys were hockey players, or a lot of the background, your main characters were a lot of actors, and then you had hockey players as secondary characters and background players.
Filling in the roles.
Yep. And Bull Durham did a lot of that, had a lot of minor leaguers in there. And also, too, they cast well with their leads. Like Paul Newman can skate, and he looks fine out on the ice. Like he doesn't look out of place. Like when you saw Kevin Costner in Bull Durham, he looked the part. He looked the part of an aging player, more so than seeing like. And I love Tony Danza, but Tony Danza I never sold on like Angels in the Outfield because he just didn't look quite right on the field. The other movie that this made me think of was Major League.
Oh.
And my one note was like Slapshot walked so that Major League could run. I think they're very similar in their execution, where it's raunchy, R-rated comedy and it's this ragtag team, and they're kind of a similar story.
Yeah,
in some
it
ways.
certainly is. It's a ragtag team of losers trying to save their organization from going under.
Yeah. So
100%.
It gave me a lot of that feeling. I think that Major League took what Slapshot did and it cranked it up another notch or two in the ridiculous factor with the caricatures.
Yeah.
But I think that without Slapshot, we don't get Major League. And that was a movie that I really liked growing up, especially the first one.
It still holds up. I watched it last year, and Major League is still like a primo comedy, which is hard to say about a lot of those 90s and 2000 comedies. This one holds the test of time and still is so good.
Yeah, and
you're not wrong, because both Major League and Slapshot are very quotable, but if you don't know, then you don't know.
That's true. Yeah. And there's a lot of similarities there, but they're different enough that it's not like, well, they didn't just remake Slapshot and throw it on a baseball field and call it Major League. They did their own thing. And that's what I like, but you definitely you can see the DNA there, and I appreciate that a lot. But
I remember hearing and reading, and I could be wrong, please correct me, but this was Paul Newman's favorite movie that he ever did.
That's what he has said. I had that down as a trivia bit, that he's said in multiple interviews that this was the most fun he had making any movie.
And did he not know how to skate until this movie, or did he already have skating
that
under
I'm
his
not
belt?
Sure about. I know that there was there was another actor that was up for the role but couldn't do the skating or didn't learn in time. And then but Newman already could skate, or he just learned quickly. I'm not sure. But I would buy that he had been on skates before, because he looked fluid. He looked like he knew what he was doing. And that goes a long way. Like athletes in movies, that's the first thing that will pull me out of a sports movie is, does your main character look like they belong there? Even if they don't look at a pro level, as long as they look like they know what they're doing. Like there was a baseball movie that had Tyler Hoechlin in it, and he is the CW Superman. So if you've seen Superman and Lois or Supergirl or any of that, that's him. He played college baseball, so he knew what he was doing. He looked right. He would look right in doing that, as opposed to, and like Shoresy you mentioned. Jared Keeso played hockey because he's Canadian. It's you can't
just come out that way,
right? But that makes a difference.
But also the setting that they're putting them in, right? With Shoresy, it's like a men's beer league, and with this, it's like a rust belt league that like has nothing but has-beens or up and comers, right? So it gives you that space to really play with, like, well, if they're not that great skater, we'll look at the league and the players around them.
Yep, exactly. And it also helps that this was written by Nancy Dowd, and she wrote this based on a real minor league hockey team, the Jonestown, Pennsylvania team. And her brother was a hockey player, and her brother's in the movie. I found out afterwards. I didn't
interesting.
He's
He's Ogie Oglethorpe?
Yeah, Oglethorpe is her brother, Ned.
Oh my God.
Ned Dowd, which is the character.
Oglethorpe.
The character of Ned in the movie was named for her brother.
Oh, wow.
Ogie Oglethorpe is her brother, which I thought was hilarious.
That is incredible. Ogie's out. Ogie's out tonight. What was it?
He's been convicted.
He's been convicted, yeah. Oh, God.
Interesting thing I found because I want to talk about some of this cast, but before we get to that, there are 2 Academy Award winners and 2 Academy Award nominees in this film. So our 2 winners are Nancy Dowd won the Academy Award for Best Original Screenplay for her movie Coming Home that came out like a year after this.
Okay.
And
I think I remember that.
And Paul Newman won for a couple of movies, including The Color of Money, and he was nominated several times. I did not realize there was like a 40-year gap between his first and last nominations.
Really?
Which is incredible. He got nominated in 1959, and he got nominated again in 2003. So, and several times in between there. But he won, I think, 2. And then...
what was it? Which one did he? What was the first
Butch
one?
Cassidy.
Butch
no,
Cassidy?
I mean, his first one was, it was a movie I was not familiar with. And I'll find it here in a minute. While I look that up, the other two, the two nominees.
Well, if you don't know it, nobody knows it, but.
Lindsay Krause, who plays Lily in this, was nominated for a movie called Places in the Heart. I don't know that one.
So good.
And then Melinda Dillon, who's in the movie for one scene. She's the one that Reggie has his little love scene with. Melinda Dillon was in.
Yes.
Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Yeah, Hanrahan's wife. She was in Close Encounters of the Third Kind and was nominated for that. She was also in A Christmas Story. Is
she the mom? No.
She's the mom in A Christmas Story.
Who is she in the what?
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's fun to learn new
Close
things.
Encounters. So she was the mom in both of those.
Yeah, I knew she was the mom in Close Encounters, but
Cat in a Hot Tin Roof, by the way, is the movie from 1959. Cat, because he was in Cat in a Hot Tin Roof, The Hustler. He got nominated for Cool Hand Luke, and then he wins for The Color of Money.
Heard of these.
And he was also, his last nomination was 2003 Best Actor in a Supporting Role for Road to Perdition.
I've heard of that one too. Yeah, that's a good comic book movie.
Yeah, Paul Newman. I mean, he's more than just a guy that made salad dressing. Everybody,
he's a salad dressing guy, right? What else does he do after that?
There's definitely people that think of him as that, and I get it. But man, Paul Newman is just a legend, and he's so good in this, and you can tell he's having fun. And I think that comes through on the screen.
Every film brings a different kind of swagger that is always Paul Newman swagger.
Yes.
But he oozes in every scene, and these little facial expressions that he can make without saying anything, really, it makes you believe it makes you believe that Reggie Dunlap is the villain in this movie. He is the protagonist in this film. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm wearing a Dunlap jersey, number 7, player coach for life. But he is the villain in this movie by not only giving his entire team false hope, but trying to will into existence something that everybody knew was not real and never going to happen. Because we can make more money, like the producers. We can make more money with a bomb than we could actually with a good production.
And that's a thing that I think Major League took and ran with and focused on more. Is kind of that thing. One complaint I would have, or criticism, and it's very nitpicky, right? Overall, this movie's great, and it deserves its status. But it does get a little bit unfocused in what story it wants to tell. There's a few too many threads that it's trying to pull on. The team folding is one, but you also have Reggie and his ex-wife is a little subplot that kind of doesn't really go anywhere, but they keep kind of coming back to it. I like the fact that it ends with them not getting together and she still leaves. That I did appreciate, because it could have been very tropey to have that, like, last minute she decides not to move and go with him or whatever. But you had that. You also had the Reggie and Lily with Ned. I didn't quite understand what exactly was happening there. There was times where it made me feel icky. And then
it's very icky because Reggie Dunlap is the protagonist in this movie, but he's also it's kind of like he's playing two different angles on this, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's trying to romance Lily, obviously, but he's also trying to make Ned play with a little bit more intensity and anger in his game, right? So which is not as a coach. That's really not the best way to motivate your team.
Not exactly, no.
But it's also like Ned doesn't. Ned is already kind of like 1 foot out of that Lily relationship, so like it's not gonna motivate him to have your teammate sleep with your wife because he already is kind of, this marriage is pretty much falling apart.
Yeah, and again, like the Ned Lily thing was also sort of forgotten about for a good stretch in the movie, and then we kind of come back to it at the very end where she shows up at the last game, and then they're just sort of back together because she got a makeover, I guess.
Well, that's the Grease ending, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, it's 100% the Grease.
So it was just kind of that's my nitpick. Like it doesn't take away from my enjoyment of the movie.
No, of course not. But I mean, there's a lot of threads that were just left dangling out there.
Mm-hmm. I loved McGrath, the general manager. It's another one where I wish he had been kind of more prominent, and it's almost like they had a start with him, and then they just sort of the movie's like, oh yeah, remember him, and as he pops in right at the end. But I loved him. He was great. Like just the cheapskate, doesn't want to pay for anything. Setting up, I loved him setting up like the fashion show at the beginning of it and all those publicity things and how much
anything to make a buck, man, and to get people in those seats. So I'm not going to get into the whole thing, but he's got there's a segment in this movie after Dunlap comes back with the new acquisitions. That whole scene is one of my favorite quotable things that I has stuck with me. Paul Newman runs up the stairs and he sees him, and he screams at him, "They brought their effing toys!" Yeah. And so quickly, I'd rather have them playing with their toys than playing with themselves.
I might have captured. I might have captured
that whole
some
monologue,
of that.
right?
So good.
I used to play with a guy. He was and he used to take deliberate penalties just to get alone. Oh my God. It's so good. It's so good. And that's the thing about this movie is that there's so many quips in this from the announcers in the box to just, little thing that the Hanson brothers are doing, man. It's just still if I'm playing like an arcade machine or anything like that and I lose, I'll hit the machine and say, "It stole my effing quarter."
Yeah, I want to get to the Hanson brothers, but before I do, McGrath reminded me of, and this is a name you may or may not know, but Bill Veeck was a general manager and promoter in Major League Baseball. He was responsible for for disco night back in the 70s.
Oh no! Oh no!
That was the kind of thing that he did, and McGrath reminded me of that, like just anything to make a buck. It was pretty great.
So that was the Tigers, right?
It was the White Sox.
It was the White Sox.
I think they were playing the Tigers that night.
Who did Dollar? Oh, because who did Dollar Beer Night?
It was it was like Nickel Beer Night or something and Disco Night at the same time.
It was the same time, right? Oh my God, I knew it. And everyone just turns into the lizards from Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Oh my God.
But he was also he's the one who signed Larry Doby, who was the first African American player in the American League after Jackie Robinson. So he had these good ideas, and that's where McGrath in this reminded me of him, because he's got some good ideas. He wants to bring in new blood, but he also is going to have them doing a fashion show, and he's going to bring in just these idiots that he can find because they're cheap, but maybe they'll do something.
They're from the Iron League, man.
The Iron League. The Hansons. All right. They are absolutely amazing in this movie. And they were hockey players.
Yes, they were.
And I guess, so it was Steve and Jeff Carlson played Jeff and Steve Hanson, and then David Hanson plays Jack Hanson.
Yes.
And I guess there was a Jack Carlson that was the third brother who was originally going to be the third Hanson. But the trivia that I read said that he got called up by a pro team, and so he couldn't do the movie. So they just got another guy on the team to play their third brother.
Sure.
But the Hansons are I seem to remember hearing something with like the Hanson brothers or the Hanson boys or something somewhere along the line. They're just outstanding. Like them showing up and they're beating the crap out of the Coke machine because it stole his quarter.
Yeah.
They have their toys. Like everybody's partying at one point on the road trip and they're in their own room with the slot cars.
Yeah, with the slot cars. This one's, they're complaining that it doesn't work. But even back to then, when Reggie brings him to the hotel and he's like, I'm going to go out and get some sodas. Great, get me a grape or orange, but none of that stinking root beer.
Yeah.
It's just, oh my God. It kills me every time.
And I guess, according to David Hanson, a lot of their stuff, they just improv'd.
Well,
They
yeah.
and it was great. Like them crossing themselves when they get put into the game for the first time.
Mean, these are little things that you pick up by just being around a rink constantly.
Yeah.
So before we get into it, so I have played, a lot of this movie was filmed in Johnstown, Pennsylvania.
Yep.
And that circle with the dog statue, that's all real. I've spent a lot of nights in Johnstown, unfortunately, and I've actually played in the War Memorial that
nice.
A lot of these stadiums or a lot of these games were filmed in. But I actually got the opportunity to play against Dave Hanson's team that he was coaching in my
Nice.
youth. We had a West Pennsylvania like hockey trip. And I remember it, man, really like vividly, where, there's a little bit of buzz from our parents and whatnot that we're playing one of the Hanson brothers teams that he's coaching because his son is on the team. And I shit you not, dude, like our coach, who was a very like scary, tough as nails, but really like great hockey coach, decides to wear a wig and the glasses behind the bench.
Oh, no.
And I was mortified, like absolutely mortified. Like this, and look at me, man. Like I'm as cringy as you can get, but like this was a step too far. And not only that, Travis, I believe they're called the Pittsburgh Hornets, but they beat the ever-loving snot out of us. Like it wasn't even close. So like we got our coach who is like makes us runs skate suicides when we lose a game, dressed up as a character, and then we get the screws nailed into us by a team, and just like we couldn't look like a bigger bunch of idiots. And now that's something every time I watch this movie, I am brought back to 2002 when
PTSD.
this happened. Oh my God.
So,
but gosh, he was a very nice man, but could really coach one hell of a team.
yeah, I mean they were involved in pro hockey in
Yeah.
some level for a long time. Here's what it was: Jack, Jeff, and Steve Carlson were originally going to play the Hanson brothers, but Jack was called up by the Edmonton Oilers shortly before
I've heard of
filming
them.
began.
Yeah.
So they got Dave Hanson to play the other Hanson brother. He originally was going to play Killer Carlson.
Oh, wow.
And so they ended up with Jerry Hauser to play Killer Carlson. So shuffling people around.
Yeah, but I couldn't even imagine him playing like the naive, well, not naive, but like the gullible goon.
It's
the gullible
hard.
goon.
Yeah, it's hard to picture that. But the Hansons, what I loved is they're that, because there's all these caricatures, all these tropes of players that are in like every kind of sports movie, right? So you've got these guys are the new blood. They're also a little bit dumb, but they're really good.
We're
and
hockey
they do one
smart.
thing. Yeah, they're very hockey smart. And they do one thing really well, which is cause chaos.
Yeah.
And at first, Reggie wants nothing to do with it, but when he gets the idea to goon it up, as he puts it, he puts them in, and everything changes for the team. And they're just like, I love just the first game. They're out there skating to warm up, and he just decks the other guy. Like they skate by once, and the next time he just decks him. Chaos, just a fight.
And there's no refs on the ice, right?
None.
This is pre-game warm-up. We're all supposed to be stretching, getting a goalie warmed up. The first pass, they link eyes, right? And then the second pass. And then you have the announcer going crazy because there's no one out there to stop the fight, right? And it's a full 25-on-24 because Ned refuses to fight. Free-for-all brawl out there. And then that quick cut of everybody with bloody noses standing there proper for the national anthem, and the ref keeps looking back at him.
I love that.
Right?
And I laughed so hard at that.
Oh my God, it's still funny to me. And if I'm at a like a Phillies game or a Flyers game, and there's somebody talking during the national anthem, that's what I give them. I give them that line to a T. And it's weird because I don't know if people still know the Hanson brothers. Like, I know our generation might, but these younger ones, I don't think it's kind of made that jump to a younger generation because it is a movie from 1977. Now, the only reason I say this is because when I had my kid, I was coaching him in a tournament up in Allentown, Pennsylvania, which is about 2 hours away from me. We went to go see the Flyers minor league team, the Phantoms, and I saw 3 dudes wearing Hanson, brothers jerseys, the 16, 17, 18s. And I'm listening to these, like, I guess they're not Gen X, whatever is below that, teenagers, like, saying, like, who's those aren't even the teams that are playing. Like, why are they wearing those jerseys? And it dawned on me, holy moly, like, people, the younger generations don't know who the Hanson brothers are. And if they do, they're going to link it to the Bops in the 90s, probably.
Right. And I think that's part of it, is there was the band Hanson, and those were brothers. And also Universal Pictures, who put this out, actually offered the Hanson boys their own spin-off movie. But they didn't do it. They went back to their hockey career. But all 3 of them showed up in the sequel. Did you know there's a sequel?
Buddy, I do. And
I
let
watched
people know which Baldwin.
It's Steven.
It's Steven. And that's all we have to say.
Yeah, and I watched what was called a trailer for that movie. It was just clips from the movie, and it looked awful. It really and this is not a movie that needs a sequel. Certainly not a sequel 20-something years, 25 years later.
Yeah.
Because it's such a, like, Major League had a sequel, but it came out just a couple of years after, and you could get kind of all that same cast and redo it. And Major League also had the whole thing of, like, they had the Rocky ending in the first movie where they didn't win. So you could have a sequel where they could win and you could do something different. This movie does not need a sequel. Did not need a sequel. Should not have had one.
I had it on DVD. In 2000, and it had to be 2003.
Yeah.
Or 2002, one of it. This was thankfully in my Easter basket one year.
Oh, nice.
And so I kind of said what you said. Why? What the hell, Easter Bunny? What I ever did to you? And I sat down and I didn't make it.
No,
I didn't make it through.
And it's got, like, Gary Busey's in it, but it looked,
I remember that.
It looked like all of the worst ideas that you could do for a sequel to this movie they did. And I couldn't. I don't know if I could watch that, but Oh, okay. So, Melinda Dillon, mentioned her, right? She's the mom in Close Encounters.
Yes.
She's in this movie. She's basically
Hanrahan's
Hanrahan's wife. She's in basically one scene. I like this trivia. She was originally offered the role of Francine.
Oh, okay.
But she wanted to play Suzanne instead. When asked why she would prefer a much smaller role, she replied, now again, internet trivia, so I'm assuming that since they're using a quote, this actually was said, but grain of salt. Her reply was, "You think I'm going to pass up my one chance to have a sex scene with Paul Newman?" I mean,
fair.
Yeah, that's fair.
I don't blame you.
I will say that the one thing about that scene that I actually really liked is the vibe of it was, because it's the sex scene in the movie. She's topless in it, so you're getting your boobies, but they're so casual about it, and they're just having this conversation. And it felt like two actual human beings in that scene, which I appreciated from just a filmmaking standpoint.
Sure. I also loved how Paul Newman's like, mood shifted on a dime.
Yes.
Well, haven't you ever been wanted to be with a man? No. No.
No, and then he's like hung up on that for a little bit.
Yeah.
But I like his reasoning. Like, yeah, but women look much like I see men all the time. I see men naked constantly in the locker room, and it just doesn't do anything for me.
Yeah.
But no, that scene was hilarious. There's so many of those like really funny moments. I also did have, and this happened in a previous episode, where my superpower kicked in, and somebody was in this movie that I knew from yet another obscure role in a different movie, and it's really dumb. Like, this might be the dumbest one that I've ever made the connection to.
If you connect the bus driver to somebody, I'm okay.
It's not him. It is Brad Sullivan, who played Wanchuk, the horny one.
Oh yeah, the pervert.
He is the trope, right, of the perverted hornball that's in every sports movie. There's always at least one.
It's not a trope though. Like,
well, no,
I'll let you finish.
It's the trope in that every movie involving sports has that guy, because every sports team ever to exist has that guy.
Yes.
That guy exists. He's real. But Brad Sullivan plays him in this. And it was eating at me why I knew him, because I recognized him. And then it clicked. And this is the dumbest thing ever. He played a priest in Sister Act 2.
There it is. Yes, he did. Father Thomas.
And I remember him from that.
Wow.
And I don't know why I'm like this, but it was that thing where, again, I did the whistle and the Leo pointing at the screen.
Done.
Like, so yeah, it happened again. It happens way too much, is what I'm noticing. I just have this Rolodex of faces, and eventually the synapse fires and it makes the connection. But there he was.
Rain Man of useless actor trivia.
A little bit. This was a fun trivia bit, though. I liked this. Rod Masters was the organist in the movie.
Oh my God, such a good bit.
And that bit cracked me up. I laughed
such a good bit.
So hard. And then when they call it back at the end of the movie, I laughed even harder.
He's wearing the helmet just in case.
He went on to be the organist for the Seattle Kraken in 2022.
No way.
So good for him. He managed to survive his major concussion.
Well, now the organist is so much higher than the rink, so you don't have to worry about getting hit with anything.
NHL arenas have a little more of a buffer between the ice and the organist. But so many people. There was also a couple faces that I recognized were Emmett Walsh is Dickie, the reporter.
Yep.
And I love him. He's one of those really fun character actors. I always think of him from Blade Runner. He was he was like the police captain in Blade Runner.
Yep.
And then also one of the two announcers that we get, or three, I guess, because there's one other guy, but the one when the Hansons have their fight where they go up into the crowd, because they're just okay. So this scene for me hit close because I remember the Detroit Pistons playing the Indiana Pacers in the Malice at the Palace.
Yes, so do I.
So like vividly. So as this scene was unfolding, I was like, "Oh no!" And as soon as the person in the stands threw something and it hit the one Hanson, I'm like, "Oh, he's going in the stands." And sure enough, he does. Jumps the boards, goes up in the stands. The announcer for that team is Paul Dooley, and he's another one of those super fun character actors. And I got a line or two of his. I'll play in a little bit.
I was going to say, you got it. Yeah, but I loved Paul Newman changing it every time he had to read, I don't know, like some car keys. Yeah, they hit him with a monkey wrench. But I mean, what that scene brings me back to is, you'll probably remember the name Ty Domi. He was a professional goon for the Maple Leafs. Mm-hmm. There was a time when he was in Philadelphia and he was getting into an argument with a fan behind the penalty box. And so Ty Domi took his water bottle and squirted the guy back there.
Yep.
And the guy reached over to yell at Ty Domi and then fell into the penalty box. and then they started fighting in the penalty box there. And this is all happening live on television and whatnot. And let me tell you, Ty Domi could throw hammers.
Mm-hmm.
He was a big, dumb, throwing idiot. And just now, luckily, as the years have passed, they have become friends. Ty Domi and the guy he beat the hell out of. But that's what that scene always flashes me back to, is just watching Ty Domi beat up a fat Philadelphia native.
You know, I hear a lot. There's always that discussion you have over like, they couldn't make this movie today or this movie wouldn't happen. I don't agree with that, but I do think that a hockey movie like this or a movie with this kind of a tone has to be set when it is. It has to be the 70s, 80s era of hockey. For one, so much of the action in this movie takes place on the ice. There's a lot of time on the ice. And this was an era where nobody wore helmets.
Yeah.
Which immediately dates it. Now, is that smart? No. But it allows you to see everybody. And I think that's
true.
the other I think
You're
it's
not
the other
have
thing.
The visor.
Yeah, that's the other part of what makes hockey movies work and baseball movies work, is you can see their faces. And it's easier to connect with your characters. And really, hockey movies because when did visors become mandatory?
Oh, geez.
That was like in the pros. It wasn't until like the 2000s, I think.
20
or maybe even later.
Yeah, it was late. I want to even say later than 2010 because they always do the grandfather rule, because even up into the late 90s, Flyers had a player, Shane McGillis. He was still allowed to legally play without a helmet on. And we're talking 90s hockey, which was the brutalest of all the hockeys.
It's not a good idea to play without a helmet. I will say that.
But even for me, my beer league, right? When I quit 20 years ago, we didn't need visors, and now it's mandatory. I came in for my first game back, and the ref was like, "No, what are you doing?" I said, "What do you mean? I've been out of the game for 20 years." He's like, "You got to have a visor on." I said, "Well, I got these glasses," and he's like, "I swear, if you touch my ice, I will have you removed from the league. I'm not losing my anything because you're dumb enough to lose an eyeball."
Right.
So, and even now with the kids, like, it's mandatory that they wear neck guards.
Yeah.
Because of, so many accidents that are just not on purpose. It's just that's sometimes freaks accidents happen on the ice.
Yeah. I mean, you're skating around on knives on a slippery surface. Like, stuff's going to happen. But like, there's that of it. And also just the fact that this team turns into a goon squad and they just start causing chaos. And I feel like that's very indicative of that era of hockey as well. And it would happen along the ways, but like the semi-pro hockey or the minor leagues of hockey, I think too, having this in the late 70s, it just worked. It was just that era of the sport. And so it's so perfect for this movie too.
Now, I don't know if you knew this, but for many years, Rob Zombie was trying to make a Broad Street Bullies movie.
I did not know that.
Wrote a script for it, had it financed, and just over the years through production hell, it just fell apart into nothing. And so, like, that's set right in 1975.
Right.
Open helmets, and then also this style of hockey, this goonish, I would say more of an enforcing kind of hockey, but we're just splitting hairs on words here. But I was so bummed because I was reading an article. This is years ago. I don't know if it was in the Rolling Stone or not, but that's where he fell in love with this sport, was watching the 1975 Flyers. And so he's always wanted to make this movie. It's probably going to be like Don Quixote, right?
Right.
Where it doesn't come out until 40 years later. But yeah, I agree. I mean, I don't know, man, because heated rivalry, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. Did they use visors in Heated Rivalry on the ice scenes?
I'm not sure.
Yeah,
but I
not
think
either.
too the other part of it is the kind of nature of the comedy in this is something that doesn't happen as much today. Although I think we've kind of come back around to getting there with some changes in language, and that was one of the things you mentioned it earlier. Like there is that barrier you have to get through, which is there is some 1977 language being used in this movie that is a little rough.
I'll just say right here, it's
you're not
slurs,
there.
man. It's just it's slurs that we don't use as a society anymore. But
I did keep a count because I felt like it would be worth it. I was surprised. So one of the things I read was that the swearing in the film, in general, even by 1977 standards, was really bad, and that they were putting warnings for certain language may be too strong for children. Like, yes, it's R-rated. Don't take your children to an R-rated movie, but there were like extra warnings about the language.
That's a Philly PG.
But I noticed that there was one R slur used.
Yeah.
For the Hanson boys, but only once. I when that happened, I was worried that I was going to hear a lot of those, and it didn't. But F slur 7 times.
Yeah, that's where I was going
is
to guess.
7 times too many.
Yeah.
And it's, again, it is a product of its time. I think you could do a lot of the same humor with different language. But I think also, I think that the mentality would, I don't know if it would be different or not. It's hard to say. Because again, these are, it's a bunch of alpha males running around and a locker room full of testosterone. So who knows?
Well,
but
if you've ever watched behind hockey or mic'd up hockey, chirping is part of the game. Trash
it
talking
definitely
is part of the game. It still happens, right? So like when Reggie Dunlap is trying to piss off Hannerham, right? Things like that get said, not in that style, but like chirping happens to get under people's skin and to get people off their game and taking up free rent in their mind. I mean, hell, man, chirping in my beer league is one of my favorite things to do because I'm smarter and funnier than 90% of the guys out there. And, we spend all night in the parking lot drinking, and I don't. So I know exactly what to say to piss these guys off on the ice.
No, like chirping and trash talk is a part of sports, for sure. I mean, I love hearing stories, old NBA players talking about like Larry Bird was the king of trash talk. And
you would never believe this 7-foot piece of mayonnaise would talk so much trash.
But I also love like there's so many different ways to do trash talk because you have the chirping or the demonstrative trash talk, and then you have the guys like Tim Duncan was one NBA player that you would hear from guys be like, he didn't talk trash, but what he did was worse because he was like respectful. He'd be like, yeah, nice try. Oh, good job. Meanwhile, he's just owning you. And so I love that. But like, I did love the chirping in this. And what's fun is Reggie seeing him like the light switch go off of getting creative. And then he's like, ooh, maybe this could work. And he just starts putting things in motion. And so he makes up the story and he tells Dickie the story of like the team's getting sold to Florida. It's like, I love that because like professional hockey in Florida, that'll never work.
I know, right?
Is such a great thing. It gave me very Back to the Future 2
hindsight,
vibes.
Right? I know, dude. It's crazy. Because we've had a Florida team in the finals the last 5 years.
Yeah. And
it's either 4 or 5 years. There's only 2 teams down there.
Yeah. Because it's the Florida Panthers and the Lightning. Yeah.
And they're both in the East, right? So they both have to normally fight each other in the playoffs to get there.
But it was like,
and even this year, I know we want to have an evergreen show, but even this year, like the Lightning are in it, so we could have another year with a Florida team making it to the final. I hope not.
But it's like I mentioned running scared earlier. And in that movie, I just recently rewatched that. And in that movie, there's a line they talk about the only baseball they got in Florida is spring training, because this was 1986 when that movie was made. There was no Florida Marlins. There were no Tampa Bay Rays yet. Like, they just didn't exist. So I love seeing that kind of stuff. It always kind of gets me. But I just loved like everything Reggie was doing throughout the movie, because you're right. He's the protagonist. He's our main character, but he's also playing both sides against the middle. He's manipulating everybody just to try and like hang on.
Yeah.
And he's doing a great job of it, because all the boys are falling for it, and the reporters fall. Everybody falls for it except when he finally meets the actual owner of the team, and she sees right through it.
Yeah.
And that was another thing that I think Major League amped up and like overplayed or played more, was the owner that didn't care and was just going to use it for a write-off.
Oh my God, I hated her so much.
She was terrible.
In Major League. Oh my God.
And in this movie, she's just not in it long enough for you to really care. But it's also, she doesn't care about the team, so it kind of makes sense that she's not in the movie much.
Yeah.
And then for it to be, it's just a write-off. Like, she's just going to make money off of this.
Out of all the people Reggie manipulated through this movie, the one person I feel bad for is Dave, man.
Oh, yeah.
Because Dave gets his ass kicked in every game that he is in. And every stitch in his lip or on his eye is all tied back to Reggie manipulating the hell out of this young, spriteful player. Oh my God. Even that scene where he's just crying, in the sink before the game.
Oh, yeah. He sees him coming, and he like immediately goes into his mode, and he's like, all right, going to play this. And then the scene of the trainer stitching up his lip on the bench. And that was another thing that placed this in its time, like, is, players with blood on their jerseys going back out on the ice and things like that. Like, you just don't get that nowadays. But yeah, poor Dave. I did love, though, Dave changing, like, I want to change my name. I want to be Killer Carlson.
Kill it. He's a killer. Dave's a killer. Dave's a mess.
I loved it. I've got a few clips here, because you called it earlier. This is a very quotable movie.
But I will say, before we go into clips, man, we still do get players like that. There was recently, a couple years ago, I can't remember the team or the player. I think it might have been the Capitals, but the player got a high stick right in the mouth, goes to the bench and takes his own tooth out, hands it behind him to the trainer, and then goes back out there before the game's over.
That's some Ronnie Lott action right there. Like, just cut my finger off and let me go back out there.
I know, dude. No Novocaine, no nothing. I would doubt if it was even loose. I mean, these players sometimes are just psychopaths. But bring it to me, Travis. Show me your clips. I'm excited for it.
I will. I have two more things I wanted to mention. Alan Nichols was, he played Upton, and he had the Fu Manchu mustache.
Yep.
And he's the only one wearing a helmet. And I was like, oh, of course, you got the one guy who's going to wear a helmet. And then I read part of the reason was because he had brown curly hair, and so did Jerry Hauser. And so to differentiate them, he decided to wear a helmet for the movie. And I love that. Like, that's great, because it's another dimension to his character that is just born out of, like, I just want to make sure people can see me and Jerry on the ice at the same time and tell us apart.
Dude, his wife, though, constantly be like, well, Johnny would never do
Yes.
Johnny told me, when Johnny does this, just like chewing the gum, like Jersey ass. I don't know if you know a lot about hockey coaches, but an unnamed player in this movie was Bruce Boudreau, was a young Bruce Boudreau. He played for the Leafs and the Hawks, but he was also the coach for the Capitals for a very long time. He coached the Ducks, the Wild, the Canucks.
I definitely have heard that name. I don't know him very well, but I've heard that name.
I think if you saw his picture, you'd be like, oh yeah, I know who that is. But just like a real player's coach. And once we get done and we get into post, I got to tell you a great story about when he was coaching for the Capitals.
Definitely.
Because it's really funny.
One more fun thing from this, and again, I don't know the veracity of this claim, but apparently the Hanson brothers were the inspiration behind the creation of the Dudley Boys back in the ECW days. I could see that because ECW is a Philly promotion, so this would have been something that those guys might have watched, and the glasses and everything. I could see there being some inspiration there.
Interesting.
So I only read that in the trivia. I don't know, but I liked it, and I wanted to mention that.
I can see it. I really could, because this was also right around, like I said, 1975 was the Broad Street Bullies, and that was Flyers hockey back then. So interesting. Never heard that before.
So clips. I got a few. I love this right off the start. The first game we get, and Reggie comes out on the ice, and there's like the captain of the other team. They're getting ready for the face-off, and he just says to him,
"How's it going, Nick?"
"I'm drunk."
That's just following that up with,
"Anybody throws me against the boards, I'm going to piss all over myself."
I mean, points for honesty. Like, he's just telling him I should not be out here.
That's a Monday night or a Thursday night at 10:30 p.m.
I was going to say, that is men's hockey league right there.
I mean, there is a team that will go in with 2 30 racks and leave the rink with nothing. So, yeah. I can't do it, man. No. I've only been on the ice intoxicated once, and I said no, never, never again. This is the dumbest thing that I have done.
I think this is the same guy at a later game. I'm not positive, but it sounded like him.
Think we should get into this? Just a thought.
And that's when the Hansons are up in the crowd.
Yeah.
And the other team is just standing out on the ice. But I loved think we should get into this, and his teammate just gives him this look like, the hell is wrong with you? I'm pretty sure that was the same guy.
I think so.
So I got this. This was more of, I wanted this for my soundboard, but this is Brad Sullivan. This is Wanchuk.
That is a very deep cut.
Just so when I find that like really weird connection.
Well done.
It's a very deep cut.
Well done.
So yeah, goon is thrown around a lot in this movie, and I love that.
Worst goon in hockey today.
Oh yeah, real cement head.
I also like cement head. Cement
Real
head is
cement head.
That is a great insult. I need to use that. But goon, unfortunately, that's a word that's gotten co-opted and changed around a lot, and I kind of hate it because goon when I hear the word goon, I think of a hockey goon is just the enforcer.
Like the GM said, you could be both, bud.
That's true. That is very true. I also loved this. This is the GM.
I'd like to cancel the order. In fact, I've got some equipment I'd like to sell. Skate sharpener, the massage table, the jacuzzi, our bus.
He's just sell it all. I love that.
Sale.
Yep, exactly. I could not help myself with this one. We go through the stretch. They're on their road trip, and you got Reggie's constantly calling, trying to find out about his ex-wife.
Yep.
Which was great. But then in the background, in the one hotel, was a moment that I had to back up and watch again. And he's on the phone. He's in the phone booth. The whole team is in the lobby. But the Hanson boys are arguing with the concierge, trying to get a room, the 3 of them in a room together. And he won't do it because it's against the hotel policy, I guess, to have 3 people in a room. And they pull the guy over the counter. And I just got this right at the end of it.
Help me! Get the manager! Somebody help me!
And they're dunking him into what, like the tree holder or whatever?
It's like a pot, a big pot.
A tree holder, Philip. Come on, it's called a pot.
Oh, it killed me.
Those idiots.
Melinda Dillon, I just casually.
You are the first man I've slept with since I left Hanrahan.
Oh, Suzanne.
beautiful woman like you?
Oh, I've been sleeping with women.
Just casually drop that out there. Also, I love that she calls him Hanrahan.
Yeah. Well, you heard when I called my kid, it's a hockey thing. You use last names, man.
Yeah.
Like, even if I'm just me and him, I'll just call him Keating, and he knows exactly to come hither, man. And it's true. Like, we either do short nicknames or last names. Last season, I started making these different lines based off of the backgrounds of my players. So, like, I had one guy who was a pastor, the other guy went to a Christian school, and the other guy went to the pastor's church. So, like, I put them on a line together, and those were my choir boys.
There you go.
And so even today, I texted all of them. I texted them, hey, choir boy 1, choir boy 2. You know, it's these little nicknames, if not last names.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a sports thing, right?
Yep, it absolutely is. I mean, you get that in all sorts of sports. It's always fun to listen to interviews with coaches, and they'll be referring to their players by nicknames a lot of times. But yeah, I just there was something in that scene with Melinda Dillon that I just loved the casual nature of it, and it felt like real people. It didn't feel like a scene written, because she just drops that bomb on it, and Reggie's reaction is kind of both shocked, but also he doesn't really care. Like, it doesn't bother him, and she just wants to keep talking about it. And then she says this.
The next week we did it sober, and it was terrific.
And he's just kind of like, yeah, no, yeah. So you had, okay, the opening to this movie set the tone for me right away. Right away. When
With Dennis.
You've got Dennis, he's the goalie, right?
Yeah.
And he's sitting there with the guy on the radio. I love how it starts off. He just gets up and walks away to go like get a drink or something, and comes back, and they're trying to frantically clip the microphone back on him before they go.
How did you love that old style love?
Oh, that was
the
amazing.
necklace.
Yes, the necklace, and they had to like clip it into the necklace.
Yeah,
but he sits back down,
cool.
and he's talking to him. There's a couple of things from that I captured, but also I loved the fact that Dennis is not smooth on camera, and he has a lot of you-knows in there, which kind of cracked me up, because I can remember listening to like ESPN radio interviews, and they would interview an athlete, and it got to a point, I'd be driving around for work or something, and I'd be listening to this interview, and I would get to the point where I would start counting the number of times an athlete would say, you know, and usually stop somewhere around 20 in a 30-second interview, because they were using it like a comma.
It's funny.
And
I just pointed that out to the kid tonight, because we were watching all the locker room interviews from the last night's game, and even our captain, who's been in the league for 15 years, was all he was saying. We were really putting in the pressure, and I was like, Dan, look how he's been in here for 15 years and still is not comfortable talking into a microphone.
So it's like,
so we started counting them.
Yeah. And you notice that. And you especially notice that when you do a thing like we do, which is talk on a microphone a lot. You start to pick up on things like that. But I loved him, and I liked him. They ask him like hockey questions. So you get, this was going to be an
Jim
intro.
Carr again. Dennis, I know that some in our audience don't know the finer points of hockey. Could you tell them, for example, what is icing?
Well, icing happened when the puck come down, bang, before the other guys. Nobody there, My arm comes out, then the game stop, then start up.
He explained what icing is, but nobody watching that interview has a clue what he said.
But it's through the radio, right? It's not even, is it through TV?
Oh, you know what? It might have been the radio.
It's
so
through
even
radio.
That's
So
even
nobody
better.
knows what the heck he's talking about.
Also, you can't have a hockey movie without a couple French Canadians in it. It's required.
Of course.
And I loved that you had Dennis, and then you had the other French Canadian player who speaks no English.
No English whatsoever.
So there's that running gag going on, and yeah, I just love him explaining what icing is, and nobody has a clue what he's saying at all. But then he also follows it up when they're asking him about penalties, I think. Or no,
Yes.
they were.
Yeah.
Well, he started asking him about things like high sticking and slashing
Stick
and
infractions.
all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You do that, you go to the box, 2 minutes by yourself, and you feel shame,
You feel shame.
You feel shame.
I need to shorten that one up and just have the "you feel shame" for
You
my
feel
soundboard
shame.
because it's so good.
But then also, if you think back that it is a radio interview and not a television one, you go like this with stick, like nobody can see
Yep.
what you're pointing out.
But it's a lot of times movies need to set up and tell you what's going on right at the beginning, and this movie did that. It was perfect to have of all the characters to have that character giving a radio interview and doing exactly what you're saying, which is the like visual representations of these stick infractions that nobody can get. But it did give us some fun noises because that cracked me up when he would hit him with the stick. And I'm going to play these in rapid succession. They got me because it's what's his name? Jim Carr is the character that is the radio interviewer. Makes that noise when he gets hit with the stick, or
Dad?
and I think this one was my favorite.
Dad?
Yeah.
Just beating him with that stick. It was great. I love so much of it. Ned was another one of those trope story points that I felt like was going to be a more prominent thing, which is he is the younger player. He's the good player on the team, right? He's like the one guy on the team. The team of misfits, he's the guy that's actually really good.
He's the ringer. He's the stud.
And he also doesn't buy into the fighting at all. And they have like, I loved when the Hansons first get out on the ice and you get all the reactions from everybody and they're all just different levels of disgusted or appalled. And then you've got Reggie's like loving it because the crowd is getting into it. And a couple of the players are sort of into it. But Ned especially just hates it. And he refuses to fight. And I kind of thought maybe that would be more of a plot thing. And it sort of was. But it was in the way that like he gets off the bus after the road trip early. And the movie just forgets about him for half an hour.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, he's a college boy. He shouldn't be in this Steel City League, this Rust Belt League. But he's perfectly happy living in one of the worst parts of Pennsylvania known to man. Johnstown is a terrible, terrible city. And this is Philip talking. Yes. Hi. Hello. It is a terrible place. And the reason that tax on alcohol and tobacco are so high is because that damn town flooded in the 1800s and they wrote a law to raise money to fix the town. And we still have those taxes still in play today.
And that I read that they flooded like 3 times.
Yes. I hate that. And every time I've been there, it's been terrible. But I don't hold grudges.
No, of course not. But Ned gives us...
It was a garbage win.
Okay. But a win's a win.
A win's a win, right? And even a goal is a goal, right? Even if it's a garbage goal. You knew they didn't have any backup goalie. You got to twist them. You got to screw with them.
But he says it's a garbage win. He also tells Reggie,
I'm not going to goon it up for you.
No?
not going to goon it up for you.
I'll bench you.
Upton, during the fashion show, was another one of those jokes that absolutely killed me because it was a setup and then the payoff. So the setup was...
Oh, now,
I'm going to walk down that stinking aisle. I'm going to open this bathrobe and wiggle my dick at him.
You will not.
So he
I
says
was wondering
that.
how you were going to do that. Well done. Good job.
Thank you. So he says that, which already had me laughing. Like, just the way he's like, I'm just going to go out there. I'm going to wiggle my dick at him. Like, he does not want to do this. And McGrath isn't, like, he's just playing it off. No, you're not going to do that. No, it's a... And then he keeps going. He tells him,
You better be prepared because when I yank it out, everybody in that audience, with the exception of my wife, is going to be running for the exits.
So we've set all that up. And again, McGrath isn't really paying attention to it. What I love is how the scene plays out. He goes out the door. There's a slight pause as McGrath is on the phone, and then you just hear the aftermath, and you know he did exactly what he said he was going to do. He just went out there and flashed everyone. All you hear is just the screaming and people running away, and it cracked me up. I laughed
such a
so
good
hard.
bit. It's so good.
You've got, like, you set it up, and then you pay it off, and that is a perfect setup and payoff.
Well, he paid it off. And
the bus driver... during their road trip.
Oh, jeez. Oh,
jeez. During the road trip,
this.
and they walk out, and he is hitting the side of the bus with a hammer, and like half the team is out there, and I think it's Ned walks up and sees it, and he just says,
What are you doing? Making it look mean. Yeah.
He's also
holes in the
wearing.
bus.
He's wearing a Panzer helmet, right?
Yeah, that was
Which is not during that scene, right? During that
No.
scene, he's not, because
Nope.
it's the beginning. It's later on when they have this really like punk rock, but not punk rock because punk rock doesn't use a Nazi symbol
right.
or a swastika, but like trying to be shockingly obtuse to make
Yes.
people intimidated of you.
Right.
Which is funny because like I don't think that ever registered with me back when I originally saw it or the years after, because those weren't a thing anymore.
Mhm.
But like this time watching it, I was like, oh my God,
Yeah.
what are we doing here?
Yeah, that was one where that is a thing between the F slurs and then that would not fly. You just wouldn't do it. And
Well, some of us would.
you shouldn't. And
There it is.
Most
You
of us
shouldn't.
wouldn't. I got this just because I love Canadian town names.
Who hails from, if I can read the card here, Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan.
I love the trope of somebody overpronouncing or mispronouncing something and doing it in that way. And it's Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan.
I love using Saskatchewan as just a random poll.
Oh.
The other podcast that we did, the Lost Luggage, when we were talking about one of the people not knowing what her past was, I think I said something like, "Oh, she could be the Jesus, Philip, Saskatchewan Strangler," and you would never know it.
Right.
It's when I can hit that beat and it doesn't come out like an idiot. It's really fun to say.
It's a fun one, and also I just love that there is a town called Moose Jaw.
Moose Jaw, yeah,
that's great. The Hanson boys, I only got a couple of theirs, but it was pretty funny.
Hey, I want a soda.
That's just great. That's wonderful, and the fact that they don't drink, that's just soda.
Yeah,
kills me.
grape, orange, but none of that stinking root beer.
Exactly. This one, I caught this right away, and it was front of mind. But it is when we meet them and they're pushing around that soda machine, and then Reggie tells them, "I'm the coach. Get your stuff. Let's go." And as they're walking away, you just hear,
Think they show Speed Racer here?
"You think they show Speed Racer here?"
Hey
And
guys, I got my quarter.
Yeah, but it's the way he says it too.
You think they show Speed Racer here?
It's very Canadian.
Yeah.
And also it's 1977 and Speed Racer is a thing. And just recently I had somebody call Speed Racer a 90s era cartoon. And I was like, it is not that whatsoever. So I loved getting that call out because it makes me wonder how many people had any clue what Speed Racer was in the States in 1977 to make that kind of a reference. Because I don't know how commonplace it was to play that.
Oh, I don't know because I wasn't around. I wasn't around.
I wasn't either.
Well, didn't we have Astro Boy over here in the 60s?
We did. So I'm sure like there were definitely people that would have known. I just wonder how like nationwide how well that would have been known. It's interesting.
It's true.
But I loved it. I loved that as a reference.
Are these boys supposed to be from Minnesota? Or are they supposed to be from Ontario? You know, in the
Yeah, we never get any background on them.
No, we only get that kind of accent, which could be either Southern Canadian or Midwestern.
Yeah. I love them taping up their hands before the first game.
Putting on the foil.
Putting on the foil every game. Yeah, you want some?
Putting on every game.
You want some?
That was so good. Those boys were hilarious all the way through.
That's kind of the trope, like the extremely violent on the ice, extremely docile off the ice, right? I just want to drink soda, play with my race cars. That's really all I want. And then, but once I put on the foil, you're done.
And they bring that energy too, because towards the end, when Reggie is like, we're not doing this kind of thing anymore. We're going to play old style hockey. And he names a few old players and all that, and they just jump right on board with it, and they're all about it, and they take that to an 11, and they're going to do that.
Yeah.
Like I just loved it.
They're on the ice with literally the team of the hardest criminals of the league. How you doing?
You want to get a soda after the game?
You want to get a soda after the game? Oh my God! But that one guy, Dr. Hook, what was it? Tim.
Oh yeah.
Tim McCracken.
Yeah.
Oh my God, those eyes, man.
Yeah.
Those eyes are terrifying.
They were absolutely, that is a serial killer's eyes.
Most certainly, dude.
It is impressive to look that scary. I have a couple of the more Jim Carr and other announcers.
The announcers were so good.
That's another thing I love in a sports game, right? It's Bob Uecker in Major League.
Yep.
It's like a good, funny announcer in games. The other one I always think of is Bob Costas in Basketball.
First off, very underrated movie.
Very.
Still kind of holds up with a couple scenes.
Yep.
But so good. And another movie that I think is starting to slip through the cracks.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
Bob Costas, and then also Dan Patrick and Kenny Mayne are in that, and they're great. But we got a few here. So I played part of this earlier.
Correction, folks. That's 2-0.
I love that because that feels like it was an honest flub in the line, and they were just like, leave it in. We're cut, print. Let's move on. Let's get another scene. So I love that. And meanwhile, you've got the dude sitting next to him with the typewriter.
Yep.
Because
the beat writer.
Yeah, that's how things used to be done. You'd type everything out as you were going and then call in your story. So I love that. I also can't tell the Hansons apart.
There goes Jeff Hanson into the corner. I think it's Jeff. No, it's Jack. It's 17. I'll have to check that later.
It's a 17. That's which Hanson it is. We don't know.
Yeah.
I also love that the Hanson boys are like 18, 19, and 20.
Yep.
They're just three of them right in a row, and you don't know how many Hansons there are. Jim Carr, towards the beginning of the movie, I love stuff like,
the Chiefs are at home tonight against Cyanosport at the War Memorial at 8. Good seats are still available.
He has a good radio voice.
Yeah, not bad.
Andrew Duncan is Jim Carr. Comes off. He sounds the part. When they were doing the interviews, there's a couple of those on the radio. And he talks to, like, he's got Reggie and Ned in the studio talking to him.
You've been playing pro hockey now for how many years?
Quite a few,
Is that right?
The two parts about that I love are the pause and then quite a few, like, yeah, you're calling me old and I don't want to feel old. And the fact that Jim Carr is not listening to him at all. Like, he's barely paying attention to the answer with the way he reacts with, like, is that right? Like, that's just a canned response from him. It was really funny to me.
Well, I mean, in his defense, they've been bad for so long.
Yes.
That it's just like, he's used to making content or show out of absolutely either nothing or trying to get something out of these players, which is normally nothing.
He goes to Ned.
And on the other side of the scale, Ned Braden, who's a college graduate.
Like, that's a big thing. He's a college graduate.
Well, it's a mill
What are you
town.
doing? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Oh my God, you've got 2 coats? Wow.
And not only is he a college graduate, but he says this to him.
You went to Princeton and were all Eastern, weren't you, Ned?
That's what it said in the yearbook, Jim.
That is such a combination. That is a very Chevy Chase answer.
Yeah, it's a Chevy line.
So I that cracked me up. Also, when they come back into the studio later and they take call-ins, and the first call-in is somebody screaming at him, like calling them names on air, and so they cut it. And I love him yelling at it like his producer, and then has to go back on to say,
while we're waiting for our next caller, we'd like to remind you folks calling in to, well, keep your questions within the boundaries of good taste.
Speaking of the announcers, did you hear what happened to the Flyers announcer this year?
I did not.
Oh, radio announcer. Between stoppage of play, they thought that they cut the mics.
No. Oh, no.
And they didn't. And this guy has been our announcer for 25 years.
Mm-hmm.
Never a problem. Big, upstanding guy. And you hear him patting on the desk, like whistling to himself. And they still don't know. Nobody's noticed that they're still on the air. And somebody goes under the broadcast table to fix one of the XLR cables. And so he says on the air, "Ha! While you're down there, do you mind blowing me?"
Oh, geez.
And his co-host, who he's been doing the show with for like 15 years, right? Comes up and sees that they're still on the air. And he's like, Timmy? Tim, we're still on the air.
Yeah.
It's Tim Saunders was like, ha! Okay.
Just always assume the mic is hot. Just always. Yeah. Always assume.
Yeah, there's clips out there. You could hear it and find it yourself. Still super funny moment. And he owns up to it, right? He's not someone to like blame the producers.
Oh, sure.
And that is exactly what he said. He's like, I've been doing this for 30 some years. I should know that every mic in front of you is a hot mic.
Yep.
So
a couple more Jim Carr. This is at the final game, and they're bringing out all of the players for the other team.
This is my favorite line of his, except for when him and Ned are fighting in the booth.
That cracked me up. The fighting in the booth was great, but this final game.
Ever since the unfortunate Denny Pratt tragedy.
I just like that. Dropping that one out there. Also talking about one of the other players.
What with the litigation, the notoriety, his subsequent deportation to Canada, and that country's refusal to accept him, well...
Like, each of these players kept getting worse and worse. I also loved...
Ross, as you well know, never travels anywhere without his longtime friend and attorney, Sam Small Print Lyman.
It's very good.
Very good.
Very good.
Almost Simpson-esque.
Yes.
Kind of joke.
It very much so. I mentioned Paul Dooley, and he was a announcer of one of the other teams. And during the big brawl that goes out into the crowd, there was two of his lines that I had to capture. One was,
"Ladies and gentlemen, look at that. You can't see that. I'm on radio."
I loved that. That cracked me up. And then he's watching the fighting still.
The fans are standing up to them. The security guards are standing up to them. The peanut vendors are standing up to them. And by God, if I could get down there, I'd be standing up to them.
As this just chaotic brawl is happening in the stands, which again, very Malice in the Palace, right? Where like the one Hanson goes after a guy, grabs him, and he's like, "Is that him?" Yeah, and he punches him. He's like, "No, it's not him. It's over there." And he's like going.
He's over there. Yeah.
Just keeps going to different people. I also, just because again, this is a thing in sports.
The Peterborough Patriots versus the Charleston Chiefs. Brought to you by Sheehan's Rustproofing.
I love regional sponsors in sporting things. Like if you ever watch a New York Yankees broadcast, everything on that broadcast is sponsored by some, like it doesn't matter what it is. Every inning is sponsored by somebody else. And like, now it's time for Dollars on Deck, where, you know, and it's like the on deck hitter is sponsored by somebody. It's just crazy. I love that kind of stuff.
What do the Flyers do? The Flyers do the RAV 4 minutes left in the game.
Oh, that's phenomenal.
Yeah. Or we do the Pico power play because Pico is the Pennsylvania Energy.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
So it's like a power play from the electric company. Yeah, it's funny, these little sponsorships that have been. We used to do scored for a case of Tasty Cakes. Yeah. I love it. You're right. And they're they're singed into my mind, man, that even when I'm not watching the regional announcers, I can still it's burned in that I have to, it's my tick. I got to get it out and say it every time we go onto the power play.
Yep. For a long time, the color commentator for Detroit Tigers radio broadcast was a former player named Jim Price. And whenever there would be a home run, Faygo is a sponsor.
Oh,
and
no,
so
it isn't.
It was always he would say it was another Faygo home run, the delicious party pop for over 100 years.
Wow.
Every home run.
Faygo is a sponsor.
Yep.
The more you know.
Yeah. I got a couple other, so I played those weird noises from Jim Carr during the news interview, but there were a couple other funny noises in this movie. I think this is Reggie. Whoops. The little whoops. No, that was Jim Carr.
Yes, that's Jim Carr.
That was his whoops when he said it was 3-0 instead of 2-0. I also got this is Reggie. Nah. But the one that got me, you mentioned the scene already, and it's so we start it with Reggie saying,
They brought their fucking toys with them.
Oh my God.
it was so
it's
good.
My favorite line. It's my favorite line, dude. It really is.
And
I use it
phenomenal
all the time.
And he follows it up. I just love this exchange.
I'd rather have them playing with their toys than playing with themselves.
They're too dumb to play with themselves.
Again, he can't be bothered with them. But then he tells the whole story, McGrath does, of the player that would get himself put into the penalty box so he could, because he was a chronic masturbator.
Yes.
And he does this towards the end of it.
I can see the visual of him looking into his mind and biting his tongue and lips and the way he convulses it. Oh my God. I hate it. I hate it so much, but that's because he plays it so well.
He does.
So well.
Strother Martin is that actor, and he was phenomenal.
Yeah.
He worked with Paul Newman a lot. So I think him and Newman were buddies, and that kind of comes through in that scene.
Well, as Paul Newman says later on in the movie, they were very close buddies.
Yeah. I just love this too. When the Hansons, so after the brawl, and they're in the locker room, and then you hear the banging on the door, and Ned goes over and opens the door, and there's just a bunch of cops there, and all they say is the Hanson boys. And he comes back in to tell them. And so then Reggie's got to go, and Reggie talks to the cops. And I love how that all plays out, right? Because we already are hearing him, you mentioned it, embellishing what was hitting him, right? It was car keys, and it was this and that. And he goes out, and he's talking to the cops. And I can't remember what he says to him, but then he goes back in, and he gets the Hansons, and he takes them out. They get arrested. So they're in jail. And now we cut to them at the jail. And here's McGrath negotiating, trying to get the bail brought down because it's $200. And again, this man will just try to cheapskate McGrath will try to bargain anything down. And he gets to the point where he starts asking about the trial.
Trial? You can't leave those guys in there. They're folk heroes. They're criminals. Well, most folk heroes started out as criminals.
That's such a good line.
It's really good. And then Ned's
almost,
screw it, and
that's
just pays
almost, it. Yeah, well, true, because if we need some somebody with an actual conscience and a purse here. But most folk heroes start out as criminals is a beautiful line for Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh, yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Write that down and work that in.
When Reggie goes on the final radio interview and he puts a bounty out on the dude's head. First of all, that is a thing that definitely happened, but you wouldn't announce it on the radio.
No.
But the bounties were and may still happen. I don't think they happen much anymore, but I know I've heard stories of like, hey, you don't want to injure somebody, but you want to like send a message.
I don't know about that. I mean, what was it? The New Orleans Saints got caught for
That's
putting
true.
bounties out on opposing players.
I mean,
and in a sport like football, where it is like designed plays is a little bit easier to get to a player if you need to. But, in these other sports, especially hockey, or I guess baseball, you could throw at people. But no, I mean, I believe bounties are still alive and well in the.
They're just more
professional
subtle
sports.
now, if anything. But I did like.
You can't put a bounty on a man's head.
I just did.
That whole scene where all Reggie wants to do is take a nap.
That's right. He's in his boxers.
He's in his box. He lays down and the phone rings and he's reaching for it at the side of the bed and it's not there. So he's got to get up and go find it on the table. And that's the first call. And I just did, and hangs the phone up, then carries it over and sets it next to the bed, lays back down. Then it rings again, and it's Killer calling him. And he talks to him for like 2 seconds, hangs it up, walks over, and he puts the phone in the drawer.
You just unplug it, bud.
And then he lays back down and immediately knocking on the door, and it's Lily showing up at his apartment. Oh, yeah. I was laughing so hard that whole scene. I'm like, I've been there, man. You just want a nap. I also like.
Show somebody getting hurt, a groin injury.
Why immediately go to a groin injury? Of all the injuries, pull a hamstring.
A groin's funnier.
That's true. And I did love.
Nobody's laughing at a strained oblique, bud. All right, you know what? You just proved me wrong. I'm sorry.
And this final one, when he gets to the arena for the final game, and he starts hearing the organ, and this is where we get the shot of the organ player wearing the helmet. But I just loved him walking up in there because the way it's framed, there was a lot of really good shots in this movie. By the way, I loved all of the action on the ice. I especially loved when they would go low angle, running right along the ice at like skate level. I thought looked really cool. But this particular shot, I'm a sucker for like a long focus, and you've got the organist in the foreground wearing the helmet, playing the song, and then you just see Reggie coming up the ladder and then coming up to him, and he just grabs the sheet music.
Don't ever play Lady of Spain again.
I want to know the story behind that. I want to know why that was in there. Like, why does he hate Lady of Spain?
I don't have answers for you, bud.
But it made me laugh, and it was wonderful, angry acting. This movie, be prepared for some 1970s slurs if you're going to watch it. But if you can get beyond that, this movie is super funny. And it is a lot of it's a really great sports movie, but also a really great comedy. And I had a blast with this movie. I understand why people love it so much.
So, you were saying you love the cinematography in this.
Mm-hmm.
It was done by Victor Kemper.
Okay.
Who you would know him from such films as Clue, Dog Day Afternoon.
Okay.
National Lampoon's Vacation.
That makes sense.
And a bunch of other Tommy Boy. And a bunch of other things, man. Pee-wee's Big Adventure. He was the director of photography.
And that tracks. Hearing that.
Director of photography. He was a director of photography on a bunch of those.
Yeah. So he had a style, and I loved the look and feel of those movies. And this one fits right in there. And then our director was George Roy Hill, he worked with Paul Newman on Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. And he also directed this. He directed The World According to Garp.
Oh, that's a good one.
And his final film was 1988 in Funny Farm. And then he didn't direct anything after that.
That's a Chevy flick, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Also, Slaughterhouse-5 was his in 1972.
I haven't seen it. But
and The Sting. He directed The Sting with Paul Newman. So
yeah, I was going to say that's another Paul Newman film.
This movie is a ton of fun. It's playing on Netflix right now, so you can watch it there. And if you're into like R-rated comedies and or hockey movies, you should watch this. Absolutely.
It would be the perfect way to slop shot your way. Nope, this movie's called Slap Shot. It'd be a nice power play to the beginning of your hockey playoff season.
You know, it has me wanting to watch some hockey playoffs. I'm not going to lie.
Heck yeah, brother.
Even though the Red Wings are never made the playoffs and haven't been in the playoffs for years now.
Let me sell you on this orange and black team. Come on, there's enough seats on this bandwagon.
Hey, you know what? Red Wings aren't in the playoffs. I'll root for the Flyers. Why not?
Hey, let's go, brother.
So Phil, you've been on the show a few times. Love having you on. But what is something you're working on you want to let people know about? What do you got going on?
Well, have you heard of this guy, Brian Ibbott?
I know him.
I've heard the name. Have you heard of this lady called Red Fraggles?
Yeah.
Okay, and TV's Travis?
I think I know that guy.
That's you.
Yeah.
And me. We're doing a Lost Luggage, a new look at an old island as we, four of us, go through the original run of Lost, as Brian and Amy are the original survivors, and me and Travis are going through it through the first time.
Yeah.
So I believe episode 1 will be posted within the next couple of weeks. But if you want to get into Lost, or you want to watch it with us, check out our new show called Lost Luggage. I'm also, please.
I was just gonna say it's been interesting watching as we're in the middle of the first season of recordings, and for a show that I'd never watched before, I get some of the hype, but it also has there's a lot of things. It's fun. It's fun to go through. It's fun to watch it for the first time, watch it with you as well. Having someone else that is a first time watcher, and then watching it with people who have seen it before.
Well, I mean, you know me. I get very angry at things very quickly.
It's true.
And I'm not gonna lie. Like, I'll give you guys a little behind it. I don't like all these episodes, and I think they're very soap operic.
Mm-hmm.
But then after like a couple soap operic episodes, there's that one episode that, like, as soon as I'm almost out, it rips me back in.
Yeah.
So check that out. I mean, it's like I said, it should be out in a couple weeks. I'm also still part of Botched, a D&D podcast, as of April 19th, which is today as we record. We have hit our 10-year anniversary mark. We've been doing it for 10 years. So
congratulations on that.
Thanks, dude. I appreciate it. It's something we didn't think would make it 10 episodes. And then the next thing we knew, we have thousands upon thousands of hours of content. So.
Outstanding. It is a fun show. I've been a guest a few times. I listen in whenever I can. It's always you guys are a great group. So definitely check out Botched. It's botchedpodcast.com.
Yep, that's us. And also Botched adjacent, we're working on something that is outside of anything we've ever done.
Exciting.
So we will talk about that at a later date, but just know that behind the scenes, something is coming, and it's not just Chonky Kong.
Very cool. Nope, I like it. I'm excited to hear about that. If you like this conversation that Phil and I have had, I do this every week with a new guest or returning guests. Next week, I will be bringing back Jay Newport of the Studio Window podcast. They are coming back to talk about Rob Reiner's A Few Good Men. We talked about it back when the whole tragic story with Rob Reiner happened, and we're like, I need to see that. I have not seen A Few Good Men. I've only seen clips of A Few Good Men.
I'm right there with you, buddy.
So that is going to be next episode. And I also have returning in a couple of weeks, Rishi B will be back on the show, and that's going to be fun. So definitely keep an eye out for those. But I do this show weekly, every Sunday night, 8 p.m. Eastern time. I stream it live on Twitch, twitch.tv/TV's Travis. The show comes out for patrons on Sunday. So if you want to get it a few days early, you can do that. Get the episodes. My patrons also help me to do my live performances where I go to, this year I'm going to be at Nerdtacular in June and Dragon Con in September, I believe it is. And that is thanks to the help of my wonderful patrons. So if you want to join, it's patreon.com/WYHS, and you can become a member there. Normally, the show will come out on Wednesdays for everyone else, anywhere you get your podcasts, including on YouTube in a video format. So next week, A Few Good Men with Jay Newport. That's going to be a lot of fun. But Phil, thank you so much for coming back on the show. It's always a pleasure to chat with you.
I brought my fucking toys!
And until next time, just remember to enjoy your movies. And hey, everybody, keep your stick on the ice.
Hey, McCracken.
Dunlap, you suck cock.
All I can get.
Oh.